and welcome to the Owatonna Today Show. I'm Shelley Whitehead. Thank you so much for joining us. We love that you are with us each and every day, well, 6 days a week, right here on Charter Channel 8, unless you're checking us out on YouTube, which is a great opportunity. We're also on Blip TV, and when you like us on Facebook, we will upload the most recent content to your Facebook page. It makes it easy for you to catch up on what's going on in the Owatonna area. We would like to thank the Steele County Food Shelf's Hometown Sampler for becoming a sponsor of our show. We love to have them along, and make sure you do check out that Hometown Sampler in a couple weekends. It's going to be a good time. Today we're going to be talking with Mike Corbin. He is going to be talking about copyright law. This is something that's interesting. And if you have something interesting you'd like to see right here on the Owatonna Today Show, all you have to do is send us an email at owatonnatoday@charter.net, or you can give Leanne a call at 390-5751 and let us know what you'd like to see right here on the show. So stick with us as we talk about copyright law right here.
Hi, I'm Jody Voisin with the staff at Fairview Animal Medical Center, your other family doctor. Fairview Animal Medical Center is a proud supporter of the Owatonna Today Show.
Juvenile fire setters is a big problem in the city of Owatonna. If you have any problems with juveniles or young adults setting fires within your homes or your community, please get in contact with the Owatonna Fire Department, and we can help assist you with rectifying the problems with the juvenile fire setter. This is a public service information from the Owatonna Fire Department.
Hi, we're Mark and Becky Stevens of the Owatonna Pizza Ranch.
And we support the Owatonna Today Show.
The Steele County Food Shelf presents its 20th annual Hometown Sampler Concert Series with performances by Hot and Bothered, Mile 5 Band, Bad Tangerines, and the Gogs. The Hometown Sampler will be held at the Owatonna Little Theater Friday and Saturday, March 1st and 2nd at 7 p.m. and Sunday, March 3rd at 1 and 4 p.m. Admission to the sampler is a food or monetary donation. Please help restock the Steele County Food Shelf. Our goal is to raise $100,000 during the month of March.
And we're back on the Owatonna Today Show. I have with me Mike Corbin. Good morning.
Good morning.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for our audience and tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, as you said, my name is Mike Corbin. I'm an attorney with a general practice in Faribault. We do primarily small business, bankruptcy. We also do some family law. We also do some intellectual property.
Okay. So we're talking today about something similar to intellectual property. This is the copyright laws. I think every day we as people, if you use the internet at all, kind of are dealing with some sort of copyright issues, possibly. And so we want to kind of define what those gray areas are. Some of them may be undefinable, but just as much as we can so we can understand and go forward educated. So first of all, let's define what is copyright law.
Well, a copyright is basically a government license. It is the authority from the government to reproduce anything that you've created, whether it be a book, a television show, music, movie, whatever it is. Anything that can be in a video, audio, or written format.
Is this similar to a patent, then, for something that's physically made?
Similar, but not the same.
Yes.
A patent generally is more of a detailed outline, a blueprint of how a particular product or item is made. Step by step, what elements are used to create it. Whereas a copyright encompasses the entire work.
Okay. And so you were talking about the different things that are copyrighted. There's two different kinds of copyright law.
Yeah, generally speaking, there are two different kinds of copyright law. There's what's called statutory law, and then there's common law. Up until 1976 here in the United States, copyright was what we call common law, meaning judge-made law. Every judge basically determined on an ad hoc basis what was and wasn't copyrighted material.
So one judge in one county could say something, and then one in the right next door county could say something completely different.
Yeah, copyright law is federally based, so it would be state by state and federal courts. But yes, that's essentially correct. A judge in California would say one thing, whereas a judge in Arkansas would say something else.
And so it could get a bit confusing.
Exactly. In 1976, Congress passed the 1976 Copyright Act, which basically created a uniform set of rules. That said, there are 1,000 exceptions to every rule, of course, but the idea was to create a uniform system of copyright law that courts could use to kind of determine this thing on a less ad hoc basis.
So what does that law say in a very broad, general way? What does it protect?
Well, again, what it basically boils down to is it creates a system of rules and regulations where people who are the original authors or the original creators of intellectual content, a movie, a television show, can protect their work to allow them to benefit from it by selling it and reproducing it over and over again for a defined period of time.
So it limits who can use that work?
Yes, to some extent.
Okay.
Again, there's 1,000 exceptions
Yes.
to every rule. It allows the author or the creator to be the sole person who can economically benefit from their labor. That said, there are several exceptions. For example, if you are at home and you record a television show and you watch it at home for your personal use, that's an exception to the copyright law because technically you would not be allowed to make a reproduction of someone's copyrighted work.
Is that technical term fair use?
Yes, that's exactly right. It's called fair use. Fair use encompasses several different aspects. It not only encompasses personal use for your private enjoyment, but things like academic research, use in libraries. That's why when you use Google or Bing and search results come up with excerpts of something that you're looking for, those excerpts are used under the fair use doctrine.
Because it's an educational purpose. in a
Well,
way.
it's almost a library,
Okay.
almost
Okay.
a search tool. Things like academic research, like I said, those sorts of things are considered fair use. Criticism, newspaper reviews of movies, those kinds of things.
Okay. So as we look forward and we are using the internet and we want to repost something, how careful do we have to be when we what is fair use for us as an individual on Facebook, and when are we might be infringing on someone's copyright law? If I upload Pink's new her new video, is that fair use, or am I maybe hurting some copyright laws?
You're hurting some copyright laws there. Again, this is a very gray area.
Yeah.
It's nice to think that there's a bright line to all of this, but there's really not. The standard that's used on fair use is basically a 4-part test. The biggest part of that is whether or not it was for pure personal use, meaning you used it and you didn't benefit monetarily from it. You didn't rebroadcast it to the public. For example, if I videotaped, and there's an old term, videotaped, but if I videotaped a show and I used it in my living room and I watched it, that's pretty much fair use. That's not a problem. But if I were to go online and to download Pink's new album or anything else, now we're getting into a gray area because while it could be arguably called fair use, you are basically stealing the intellectual property of another. The only way you could get that album by Pink is to go to the store or to go to iTunes and get it, and you'd have to pay for it. By taking it without paying for it, you basically violated copyright law.
How is that different than using Spotify or Pandora?
Well, Spotify and Pandora are more akin to what we old-timers would call FM radio or AM radio. It is broadcast out to the masses, and you either purchase a subscription to it, or, for example, Pandora can be used for free. But either way, Pandora is paying the artist a license fee for broadcasting that
Every
song.
time they play that song. Whereas when I put Pink's new video up on mine, and every time somebody sees it, nobody's paying for that. So
That is
she's
correct.
losing on that. And again, this is not something that I could, I suppose, be chased down with pitchforks to stop doing this, but more often than not, I may not. So this is more of a conscientious thing for people to be aware of?
Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, technically what you've done is break the law in your example. A perfect example of this is the woman up in Duluth who downloaded quite a bit of music from the internet, and the music labels came after her to make an example of her. And she was hit with a very large judgment after they sued her. The problem is there are millions of examples of this going on every second, and they're not going after everybody. So it is a conscientious issue, but it's also a legal issue.
Okay. Well, that leads me to the next question, which is, let's say I paint a painting, and I take a picture of it, and I put it up on Facebook. Is that just all of a sudden, because if I haven't gone through the court system and copyrighted it legally, is that all of a sudden still and if somebody uses it for their own personal use, can I sue them for using it? or not personal, but let's say they make money off of it. Let's say they take my picture, they think it'd be a great logo, they put it on their business site, and they have not compensated me anyway. Can I go after them?
Absolutely. But again, the question now becomes, since you haven't gone through the effort of registering it with the Patent and Trademark Office and obtaining a formal copyright on the work, you are now in the realm of common law copyright. It would basically be upon you to go after this corporation or whoever took your picture and try to force them through the court system to stop using it or pay you for the right to use it. That can be a very long and expensive process.
Yeah, so it depends on how passionate you are about it.
Yes.
One of the other things that we haven't talked about is about written work. There is, I have been told, and I don't know if this is true, so I love that you're here, that let's say I have written a play and I haven't copyrighted it, but if I mail it to myself by a registered mail, and then it comes back to me and I don't open it, and if somebody steals that work of mine saying that it was theirs, I can actually go and say, no, this is mine, I have this legal proof. Is that true, or is that kind of
That's half true, half modern myth.
See, that's what I was wondering, yeah.
What you've done is you've created a documentary trail that shows when you put that particular work into the world. The stamp on the letter that shows that you mailed it on this date says that it was in use by you on this date.
Okay.
You've created a presumption of the effective date of your copyright.
Okay.
But again, it's a common law copyright. You would have to go to court to try to enforce it.
Okay, and so again, and that could be a little bit more interesting. You know, we have all those movies about somebody getting their idea stolen by the big producers, and so if you can prove some sort of paper trail, that would be okay.
Absolutely. More documentation is better than less
Good.
documentation.
What we're going to do is we're going to go to a quick break, and then we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to talk about images on your internet and your own personal internet privacy, and maybe some concepts, some things that you can do to maybe help yourself with that. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Dave Efforts with TPS Insurance, and we are proud supporters of the Owatonna Today Show.
I needed more than just another dead-end job. I wanted a career, so I expressed myself.
With the kids off to college, I decided it was time for me to go back to work and express myself.
Express got me in touch with some really great companies. Now, I'm on my way to a great career.
Express Employment Professionals is in contact with thousands of companies in need of quality employees. Come in now and get the job you deserve.
Express yourself today.
When you or a loved one needs specialized care, where can you go for help? Park Place Senior Living and Coda Living Community provide a home with personalized services. Park Place Senior Living offers apartment homes with housekeeping or nursing services that meet your unique needs, including extended assisted living in the former Cedarview Care Center. Coda Living Community provides rehabilitation and short-term or long-term care in Owatonna's newest healthcare facility. A hallmark of the Benedictine health system, both locations are committed to providing quality care where health, independence, and choice come to life. For more information, please contact me at 507-446-4946.
Hi, I'm Doug Johnson with the Owatonna Business Incubator. We're here to help small businesses start and to grow. We're a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
Hi, I'm Ron Hager, and I play Steven Spedigue.
And I'm Cody Jensen, and I play Jack Chesney in LTO's current production of Charlie's Aunt, directed by Shelley Fitzgerald.
Performances of Charlie's Aunt will be held Friday and Saturday, February 15th and 16th at 7:30 p.m., with a matinee on Sunday, February 17th at 2 p.m.
And then again the following Thursday through Saturday, February 21st, 22nd, and 23rd at 7:30 p.m.
Tickets are available at the LTO box office by calling 451-0764. Don't miss LTO's production of Charlie's Aunt.
And we're back with the Owatonna Today Show. I'm Shelley Whitehead. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to continue this conversation about copyright law, and we're going to move it into a more personal situation where I'd like to talk a little bit about what a public place is and how that affects copyright. If you're at a beach and this film crew all of a sudden shows up, or if you're at a concert and your kid is being viewed, being videotaped by a third party. Let's talk a little bit about what public place is and how that works within copyright law.
Sure. A public place is generally anywhere that the general public is allowed to go. A church, a school, a store, a mall, the park, the beach. It's anywhere where there isn't an ability to limit access to the general public, such as a private residence or something like that. Public places, the idea of a public place is what allowed desegregation in the 50s to happen. I mean, we basically said if you are a public accommodation, if you're a public place, you can't discriminate. And that kind of definition is carried over into the copyright world.
Okay. And so that's probably one of the banes of the existence of most celebrities, is if they're walking on the street, they can have their picture taken because they're in a public place.
That's absolutely correct. The first thing that people need to get over is this notion that there's a right to privacy. You can read the Constitution cover to cover and you will not find the word privacy mentioned in there. And you're exactly correct. That's why when a celebrity walks down the street from a restaurant or stumbles out of a bar and there are 500 photographers taking their picture, that's why those pictures are allowed to be taken. They are in a public place and there isn't anything they can do about it.
And so moving forward with this, the same idea of if your child is is in a concert in a public school, that is a public place. And so they are their image can be videotaped by anyone?
To most extent, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, as a parent, I mean, anybody who's been to a child's concert knows full well that there are 500 people there taking cameras, taking pictures with their cameras. As a general rule, it is a public place, and anybody can take any image that they want in that public place. Whether they can use it in a subsequent venture is another question, but you can't generally limit others' ability to take the picture.
So again, it's not the picture taking itself, it's the process afterwards. So, for example, I know at many plays, they ask you not to record them because there is actually copyright on the material, the play itself, the script.
Correct.
And I'm assuming that that's kind of the same for the music that's used within a concert.
Also correct. The issue here, though, is who's going to enforce that copyright. As a general matter, using your school play for an example, if someone wants to stop private filming, if they want to limit the reproduction of that event, it's incumbent upon them to enforce the copyright. Generally speaking, the school has licensed, for example, let's say the Music Man. The school has licensed the Music Man from the copyright holder to put on this production. And it is incumbent upon them to then enforce that copyright. So either they're going to have to say, we don't allow filming at all, and I'm sorry you can't take little Johnny's picture in the school play, or they're going to have to say, well, this is just how it is. And then the results of that are what they are.
If somebody is trying to sell the video, let's say they take the pictures, they take the video, and then they try and sell it afterwards, does that change this dynamic at all?
Yeah, one of the fair use doctrine's bright lines, one of their biggest rules is whether or not a commercial endeavor occurred here, whether or not somebody made money off of this reproduction. Fair use does not allow for monetary gain.
Okay.
You don't get to package it and then sell the DVD, for example. But again, if you're not going to enforce the copyright, people get away with it.
What's so interesting to me is that now with the internet, I think it could be a lot easier for a company to Google their name of their show or their piece, and then it could come up and they might be able to follow that paper trail and start enforcing it a little bit more if they're putting it up on the internet.
Yes and no. The internet has made it easier to find examples of copyright violations, but the internet has also made it so much easier to disseminate the violation. If I put something up on my Twitter feed with a link to, hey, check out this cool video, and I put a link on there, not to brag, but many people may have seen that link and clicked on it. So suddenly 50,000 people have seen this. So it's easier to track, but it's also much harder to control.
Oh, okay. So a public place anywhere someone can be. So do I need to get permission if Leanne and I go out and we're going to record a segment in the high school for something? Do we need to get the permission of the students who are just passing by to be on the show?
Well, as a good practice, it might be a good idea to at least get their permission, basically a cover your behind kind of situation. But from a legal aspect, no. If they're in a public place and you are openly filming, there isn't much they can do about it. For example, a dressing room in a store would not be considered necessarily a public place because you have an expectation of privacy behind a closed door. Whereas if you're just walking through the mall or walking through the school, there is no expectation of privacy.
So what if you don't want your image on the internet and you don't want people to be uploading that? Is there really anything you can do?
Not much, to be honest.
Yeah.
If the picture was taken in a legitimate fashion, you were in a public place, you basically have no ability to say, take it down. You can complain to the webmaster that's hosting the picture. You can complain to Google and other entities, but quite honestly, they're probably going to say sorry.
So there's, the internet is pretty much everywhere, of course, and it's accessible by everyone that wants to. So, well, almost. There's a few limitations. But, so the question I have then is how do I, as a person, if I'm concerned about my privacy on the internet, what are some steps that I can take? Maybe not complete privacy, but at least a good feeling, a hardcore cover, candy shell cover of privacy.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there. The internet is ubiquitous. People don't realize how many different times a day they are filmed, photographed, their information is on the internet. There is no surefire effective way to maintain privacy on the internet. Basically, you would have to live in the Stone Age in some sense. Don't have a Twitter account, don't have a Facebook account, don't have a website, don't post blogs and other things online. Once you put yourself out there, and even if you're not out there voluntarily, you're out there. A perfect example is Facebook tagging of photographs. I can't tell you how many family photographs relatives and friends have put up on Facebook where they've tagged me, and I was like, I don't want, what? What are you doing? That's a horrible picture. Why did you put that up there? But I have no real basis for taking it down. Now, I understand Facebook has recently put in an ability to basically say, I don't want to be tagged in these photographs, but those photographs are still online.
Right, right. And so while your name might not be officially linked to it, people who may know you could do that.
Yep.
So in this day and age, then there really is no, unless you live in a hole, if you are out and about at all, there's really no way to avoid it unless you get all your family to get off Facebook.
That's correct. There are people who go to the extreme of basically walking around with a bag on their head. But short of that, people just don't realize between security cameras, ATM cameras, red light cameras in other states, et cetera, you are literally photographed dozens, if not hundreds of times a day. And if it was in public when it was taken, it's all fair use.
So the only thing you can do is limit what you put out there. And so a quick, just since we're talking about the internet, what would be some of your guidelines, especially for maybe a parent whose kid's now starting to learn about the internet? What are some important things that you would say just legally for kids to be aware of and families to be aware of about putting on the internet?
Well, legally, kids, it's an interesting situation. Children are supposed to be protected from the internet through a variety of different laws and practices by websites. But the reality is any smart 13-year-old can get around just about all of them. For example, if you want a Gmail account on Google, you're supposed to tell them that you're at least 18 years old. Well, my daughter figured out a way around that, and she's 8. So
wow.
There is no substitute for parental monitoring.
Okay.
The old adage, keep the computer where you can see it in the living room, is a good one. You're going to have to monitor your children because, quite honestly, every layer of protection, everything they put above and beyond what you think is a reasonable amount of security, kids are going to find a way around. Between LinkedIn, between Google, between all the different websites, kids are finding a way to get around everything.
Okay, so if anyone has questions about some of this copyright law, is there a resource that they can go to that you're aware of, or should they? What can they do if they're interested in finding out more?
If you're interested in copyright law in general, I can provide you with a couple different resources. First of all is the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office website, which is uspto.gov.
Okay.
They have a very nice copyright and intellectual property for dummies kind of.
Oh, good.
Kind of
really complicated that. I was worried.
And my office's website also has a page on it that has basic copyright intellectual property information as well.
All right. Well, it's been a fascinating topic. I appreciate your time. Again, you can talk to Mike at the information listed there if you want to know more information about copyright law or how it can affect you and your family. I think that's a good thing to be aware of in today's technological age, as you said. Thank you for your time today.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll be right back with the Owatonna Today Show.
Hi, Warren Abraham, Abraham Consulting Technologies, your one-stop technology shop. We support the Owatonna Today Show.
say, a voice you can talk to. We're growing with you in mind in everything we do. Owatonna Public Utilities.
Hello, I'm Sean McNulty. And I'm Deb Gillard with Brookdale Senior Living, Sterling House, and Clarebridge of Owatonna. And we are a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
And it's time for a quick look at some community announcements here for you on the Owatonna Today Show. The second Health Info at Your Library program, Eat Right and Live Better, is coming up Thursday, February 21st at 7 p.m. at the Gainey Room in the library. The program is free to all and no registration is required, so make sure you check that out at the Owatonna Library. The Sweetheart Pet Contest, this is going to be an opportunity for you to show off your pets for the Steele County Humane Society. If you'd like to, you can send a picture of you and your pet, or your pet and your pet. So they're doing two different kinds of things, and it's all about love because it is in the month of February. So what you can do is send your picture to the photo contest, P.O. Box 220 in Owatonna, 55060. We do ask you to send a $5 fee, and then what will happen is the winners will be announced at their pancake dinner, and it's another fundraiser for the Steele County Humane Society, and that is going to be on March 15th. So check it out, have some fun. If you love your pets and would like to show them off, this is a great opportunity for you to do that. The Entrepreneur and Inventor Ecosystem and Owatonna Network, or as Doug likes to call it, the EIO. I said it. You're welcome. It's on February 21st at 7 p.m. at the Owatonna Business Incubator. It's an opportunity for people who are entrepreneurs or who would like to be an entrepreneur to get together, network, find out what would work for them. And again, that's February 21st at the Owatonna Business Incubator. Check it out. The Steele County Historical Society and the Culture Fest Committee are pleased to announce a joint fundraiser coming up Friday, February 22nd at the History Center. It's World of Flavors Food and Brew Fest. It's a great opportunity. It's a lot of food from many different cultures and different beers as well as wine, so don't worry. The evening will begin at 5 with a social hour and the home brew contest featuring 9 local home brewers. Guests will be entertained throughout the evening by the Nordic Note Singing Group of Owatonna's North Lodge, and also returning again is Bill Konkar. Yeah, he's a strolling accordion player. I hear he's fantastic, so you want to check that out. That's Friday, February 22nd, and you can call the Steele County Historical Society for more information. And we want to thank you so much for joining us today. Please, if you do have some community announcements that you'd like to see read here, or if you have an idea for a show, let us know at owatonnatoday@charter.net, or give Leanne a call at 390-5751. Thanks so much. We'll see you on Friday.